What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Dummy Wormy, and 2024 was just an awful year for AAA games as a whole, considering so many of them were complete and total flops, disasters, game studios were being shut down left, right, and center, all on a quest of ideological supremacy and pushing modern day notions within gaming to people that honestly didn't care. People that just wanted good video games, people that just wanted to sit down and have escapism, but instead were constantly inundated with BS after BS after BS. And it's not really shocking when we end up getting the news like this that gamers really weren't interested in anything that was being pushed by AAA Industries. When we come over here to Fandom Pulse, Steam Replay 2024 reveals only 15% of total playtime spent on new releases. Now, where are they getting this data? Well, Steam collects all your data, okay? They collect and see how you do stuff. They figure stuff out about that. They find out interesting data amongst all your playtime, amongst all this stuff, and they, compare it. They like to show off, hey, how do you compare with other people? How do you compare with stuff like this? What's going on here? And it's actually pretty interesting. And when we start scrolling down, we start seeing some interesting data. Steam Replay 2024, which was previously called Year in Review, revealed that just 15% of total playtime across the entire service was spent on new releases. As noted by Steam, the 2024 Steam Replay is a custom report for each account that shares how many games you played, how much achievements you unlocked, your longest login streak, and how it all compared to the previous year. As part of the custom replay, one of the charts shows your breakdown by how much time you spent on new releases, games released in 2024, recent releases released within this past 1 to 7 years, and classic games released from 8 or more years ago. It also compares your data to all Steam users for classic release time spent, hit 37% of all time spent on Steam. We scroll down here. For recent, it was 47% of all time Steam users, and for new releases, it was only 15%. Now, the person they're using here obviously has zero playtime within new releases, but when you compare it to the entirety of Steam's playbook, only 15% of them actually played new releases for any stretch of the time. So when you recognize that, when you see that, I decided, okay, well, what does my data compare with? So I did it as well. Okay, because I wanted to double check their numbers. So I scroll down here, and you can see some interesting little data. I played a lot of Final Fantasy 16 Online, Elden Ring, and Final Fantasy 7 Remake. I played other games, but those are the games I obviously spent the most amount of time in. You see all this stuff. And yeah, here's the chart, okay? New releases, 34%. New releases, the percentage of playtime you have in new releases, games released within 2024. Now, I don't know what all my new releases were. There was probably a game here or there that was a newer release, or maybe a PC port, something like that. But when I compare it to everybody else, only 15% of people actually played new release games. Yeah. And games like, obviously, Helldivers are obviously going to be in this list. There's other new release games that are going to be in this list. But when you start sitting there and thinking about it, that's actually not good. And only 15% of gamers actually played any of these games that were released in 2024. And it gets a little bit better because we'll come back over here to this data. And I want to remind you about some of the AAA games that were released this year and some of the games that were released all together in this year. Especially since we've had games like Star Wars Outlaws that, utilizing SteamDB, we only ever saw a peak concurrent player base of 2,492. We saw games like Dragon Age The Veilguard, which only saw a peak concurrent player base of 89,418, as it's quickly dwindled to basically nothing. Oh, we also had Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League that started all this garbage that only ever saw a peak concurrent player base of 13,000. Oh, and an Unknown 9 Awakening that had only 285. Now, these are just some of the bad ones. I also have games like Black Myth Wukong, which saw a peak concurrent player base of over 2 million and still sees peak concurrent players. Oh, we also had Warhammer Space Marine, which also saw massive player base, massive players, and still sees decent players for the amount of content within this game. So you're already seeing there's actually some decent games here. I could pick off maybe Helldivers, people still play even with the controversy, Space Marines, Black Myth Wukong. Okay, that's 3 out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different games I cited that are on Steam right now. But what makes this worse, what makes this all worse here is Steam also does Game of the Year awards, get special awards for all sorts of gamers. That way you know what games people are actually playing, what games the general audience and general Steam players actually care about and want to support. And when you actually come over here to the Steam Awards, we start scrolling down through what were the games that won all this year. You had Black Myth Wukong win their Game of the Year award. You had VR games like Metro Awakening. Labor of Love award went to Elden Ring. Best game on Steam Deck went to God of War Ragnarok. Helldivers Better with Friends award, makes sense. Outstanding visuals went to Silent Hill 2. Most innovative gameplay award, Liar's Bar, which I don't even know anything about. Best game you suck at award goes to Black Myth Wukong. Best soundtrack award goes to Red Dead Redemption. And then outstanding story rich game award goes again to Black Myth Wukong. And also sit back and relax goes to Farming Simulator. So if the majority of Steam users, or the plurality, decided to choose all these games for Game of the Year, how many of these games were actually like massive successes? Black Myth Wukong. Black Myth Wukong, AAA game. Everybody played it. People really loved it. You could see tons of success. Elden Ring. Again, labor of love. There's tons of data here. We also recently got a brand new DLC for it. We're getting another thing for it here soon. Yeah, makes sense. God of War, that went on Steam Deck. Makes sense. Better with Friends. Again, Helldivers 2. Makes sense. Silent Hill, good visuals. I heard actually decent things about this game. Makes sense. Don't know anything about this game, but Red Dead Redemption. This is an older game. And one best soundtrack. Yeah, that makes sense. Everything you hear makes logical sense on what gamers actually care about and what the Steam player base actually cares about. So when, in all reality, only 2 of these games, maybe 3 of these games are modern releases, if not an update here or there, and the majority of them were actually won by Black Myth Wukong, it really does make sense that gamers aren't actually playing any of these new AAA games and are deciding to go somewhere else with their time and are starting to just play their older games, play their back catalog, play games that are all over the place. We recently had the Steam Winter Sale. And guess what? Out of all those games on the Steam Winter Sale, I pre-purchased Final Fantasy Rebirth, and outside of that, a lot of the other games I bought were older games. I bought the entirety of the Arkham collection, including Origins, because I liked those games. I'm buying games that I personally loved growing up. I'm playing back catalog games. I'm playing games that I've always wanted to play. I'm doing stuff in other areas. I'm playing games with my friends on some older games. You're seeing more and more gamers gravitate to what they loved, what they care about, instead of deciding to chip out $70+ for garbage. It makes sense that this is all going on, and you can actually see the growing trends. Gamers want good games that they can actually rely on, that they don't have to deal with this modern day BS all over it. They don't have to deal with being preached to the entire time. They don't have to deal with subpar graphics. They don't have to deal with their heroes being killed in front of them. They want good adventures, and they want fun stories. That's all they ever wanted. This is all they have ever wanted. And it's basically showing up in the data itself. But I'm going to leave it there. Let me get you guys' thoughts on all this down in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with friends, hit the subscribe button, and hit that notification bell for every time I put out a new video live, guys. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.